The following is dedicated to the memory of Julian McMahon, who tragically passed away just mere weeks before his 57th birthday after a private battle with cancer. First of all, fuck cancer. Fuck every form of cancer. May everybody be cured of their cancer. May nobody have to suffer through it. It is a terrible disease that spreads across so many variants. It's just absolutely tragic. But he left quite the body of work across film and television, with roles in shows such as Charmed, Nip Tuck, and also, yes, playing Victor Von Doom in the two Fantastic Four movies before the reboot. But he also had a memorable role in Nicolas Cage's indie film that just came out recently, The Surfer, playing a role that absolutely played to his strengths. Rest in peace, Julian McMahon. You will never be forgotten. Again, fuck cancer, but rest in peace. I'm John Renton with a retro view of Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer from 2007. Okay, the movie isn't all that great, but at least Julian McMahon got to have a little bit of fun. I mean, it seemed like everybody was having fun with this movie, but boy, oh boy. As a sequel to the middling 2005 Fantastic Four movie, it's no wonder that they just decided to go with a reboot in 2015. And don't worry, I'll get to that. Boy, will I get to that and tear into that. But there were ideas in here that could have worked. At least it seemed like they were trying to make the story a little more just centrally focused instead of just, having it where it's like a quick origin story and they figure out their powers and then they go, Victor Von Doom. They have it now where it's the Silver Surfer and he has the power cosmic to herald the arrival of Galactus, the world-consuming being. And this was once again written and directed by Tim Story and also written by Mark Frost, John Turman, as well as Donnie Payne. No, not the Teddy Long person that he talked about. Anybody that watched Legends of Wrestling gets it. Anybody else that didn't, if you're not a wrestling fan, you're just absolutely confused. So, I own Gruffud. I don't actually know if that's how you say his name. I don't really fucking care. Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, Michael Chiklis return as Mr. Fantastic, a.k.a. Reed Richards, Sue Storm, the Invisible Woman, as well as the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and the Thing, played by, that's named Ben Grimm, where the Thing is absolutely rock hard. They somehow got a PG rating with a rock hard thing all over the camera. And the late Julian McMahon having almost a cameo as Victor Von Doom. You also have the incredibly gifted and gorgeous Kerry Washington. You have the late great Andre Braugher, who look at his filmography and TV lineup. I mean, he's been in a lot of shit. And you have Doug Jones as the Silver Surfer, voiced by Lawrence Fishburne for some odd reason. I love Lawrence Fishburne. I'm not saying Lawrence Fishburne should have been the Silver Surfer, but it was odd. So, this had a $130 million budget, up 30 from the previous film, and it did make $58 million in its opening, which is up about $2 million from the previous one, but unfortunately, it made $21 million less, or $23 million less than the previous one, and there's a bit of a reason for that. Because this sequel's kind of absolutely shit. It did end up making about, $30 million less than the previous one worldwide. So yeah, it turned a profit, but I think the idea was maybe let's not do a third one. Because even though they kind of left it open-ended like they could do something, it seemed like they were trying to wrap up everything with this at the same time. Like, they could have gone in a different direction, but it's probably just as well, I would say it's just as well they did the reboot, but the reboot was absolute dog shit and was a total misfire. It started with Galactus sucking off a planet, just getting his fingers right in there and then just siphoning, sucking us all up, sucking every bit of energy, sucking us off. Who doesn't want to be sucked up by a big galactic energy-consuming being? I know I don't. Shut up. So, the power cosmic, basically, it's the surfboard thing. Basically, the idea of the origin story of the Silver Surfer, depending on what timeline and everything you believe, he was on a peaceful planet. Galactus showed up, and basically, Norrin Rad is the version here. I mean, I'm sure there are probably other names the Silver Surfer got. But basically, he makes a deal to help Galactus for an undetermined amount of time to just find planets, consume them while his world is saved. He doesn't do that, his world gets sucked off. So, from there, he is basically just finding planets. We find a planet being sucked off completely. I'm going to keep mentioning Galactus sucking off planets until you get as uncomfortable as possible. And there we are. Circuit City must have paid handsomely for their sponsorship here. Reed and Sue are going to get... I remember Circuit City. Boy, those are all over the place. And they went tits up. Reed and Sue are going to get married. That doesn't work out all that well. Reed is too focused on his work. He has Jessica fucking Alba there, who has the personality of a wet blanket but still looks great. And I did like the superhero suit with all the advertising like Dodge and everything, you know, pretty much just saying, hey, here's all the people to pay for sponsorships. Here they are. Fuck, deal with it. So, Johnny suggests possibly throwing a bachelor party, that is. But that doesn't end up going off all that well. But beforehand, we do see the military arrive, including Andre, who is, Captain Lou Reed, Rex Reed, Jake Reed, Willis Reed. Could you do that somewhere else? Sure, Reed. And you have Bo Garrett, who looks great. I'll say that much. And, yeah, the Silver Surfer arrives, causes a bunch of cold, because they can change the weather patterns and also cosmic radiation. It's the fucking world. It is a world-destroying beam without even realizing it. Stanley is a cameo. Can't get into the wedding. Har har. And, yeah, we have a copter that arrives, or ends up almost crashing into the wedding. It's on a rooftop, because of course it is. Kerry Washington almost gets taken out. She can't get out of the way because she's fucking blind. And then there we are. So suddenly Johnny takes off to find the Silver Surfer and is like, what are you doing? I'm going to follow you. And oh shit, can we talk somewhere else? And then he throws him down after they get into space. And it turns out Johnny's molecules are affected, and suddenly he can absorb the powers of the others. This is like referred to a few times. The movie is only, with credits, 92 minutes. So they accelerate a lot of this shit. And then we have Norrin basically say to Galactus, who apparently must have ears like a fucking hawk, because he's all the way over there. Could you speak up? I'm old. Your herald summons you. Another world awaits. Let's do it quickly. Or let it be done quickly. I'm always hearing that from women. They don't ever have to tell me that. I'll just say that much. Moving on from my love life that has not existed for years. So they just want to get married. Johnny, he can now switch the powers. At one point, he switches into the Thing and then switches back from the Thing. So we briefly see Michael Chiklis. And he gets Sue's powers, and she becomes a torch and burns off her clothes. And Jessica Alba's nude again. We can't see what you get it. It's the idea of seeing Jessica Alba nude. Whatever. It was appealing at the time, but... Alright, Doom then suddenly shows up because he's free to do what he wants any old time. And Julie McMahon, bless him, is not given nearly as much to do in this. Now, he has fun in the few scenes he's in. But he ends up saying, hey, how about we get an alliance? How about I do something for you, you do something for me, you scratch my back. I'll allow you to basically exist on this world, even though the Silver Surfer could easily destroy him as long as he is on the Power Cosmic, which I assume that's what the surfboard is called? Or is it just that he has Power Cosmic inside him? I'm actually confused because I kind of forgot. So, Doom shows up, and he is going to pair up with Captain Rex Reed, and they are going to basically destroy this Silver Surfer. Mind you, you would think the General would know better, but evidently trusting Von Doom, that tried to destroy the world previously. No, he's fine. Because Doom got cured, by the way, because he was wrapped up in all that metal and frozen, but no, he's fine now. He got healed. He still has the lightning powers, though. And then there's one point where Sue tries to calm Reed down by massaging him. I don't know who wouldn't be calmed down by a beautiful blonde massaging you. Where? I will let you decide that. You pay extra. Moving on, we get not really a lot of great action here. We do get a confrontation between Sue and Norrin, basically saying, I have no choice. There's always a choice. The choice would have been to make this movie good, but they didn't decide to do that. So they eventually do capture the Surfer. They separate him from his board, or the Power Cosmic, with a pulse machine. And then Doom ends up basically stealing the Thing eventually, but Sue is talking to him, trying to find out more information. This is a world-consuming being. My world called him Galactus. And he says his name is Norrin Rudd. I'm just going to call him Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd. I'll just say Norrin Paul Rudd. There we are. And Doom basically chases him around. We get a tornado at one point, a Doomnado as it were, because they got to figure out how to stop him. But the problem is they can't. Ben could get to him and wail on him and probably beat him up, but he'd see him coming a mile away. And you got the Human Torch. Oh, and Sue, by the way, during the interim, during a part in China, got speared through the chest, seemingly by a spear. Her thing couldn't stop that. And she tried to save him like Norrin saved her from the missile a little bit earlier. And we basically see that she's all dying, but Johnny takes all the powers and is wailing, turning invisible, stretching, beating up and everything, and separates Doom from the Power Cosmic. And then the Surfer gets on there. Norrin gets on there and basically heals her and says, treasure every moment with her, tell her she was right, there's always a choice. And then Johnny helps him, I guess, with a guiding light until he gets to space and then fades back down. I guess he's okay, but he gets in there and he says, this is the end, we're basically stopping this, I will no longer serve. And he unleashes the great power and destroys Galactus. It just kind of looked like a space earthworm for some reason. It just made me laugh. Space earthworm that was just tunneling through dirt in space. And that's it. That is how we get Galactus. The destroyer of worlds. Not really getting to do anything. And I thought the way they did stuff in the Green Lantern movie was shit. And that was 4 years after this. So, yeah, the movie isn't good at all, but we do get a wedding. They skip to the end, and then they go to save something from falling into the Atlantic. I think it was Rome. Could have been part of Italy. I'll say Monica Bellucci. I would say that much. And there we are, and that's the end. And then we get a Fantastic Four reboot, as I talked about, that I will talk about eventually. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Renthal, and until we meet again, happy trails to you, and once again, rest in peace, Julian McMahon.